So I was a little concerned after the first service that this sermon was a bit of a downer. But don't worry, it gets lifted up at the end, so hang on in there. Friday night, my family and I sat at the dinner table discussing the news we'd heard in the past few days. Picks for Attorney General, head of the CIA, and Chief of Staff, not remotely aligning with our UU values. Even our weak hope for a philosophy of pragmatism and uniting a divided country was beginning to fade. The conversation didn't last very long before we all lapsed into silence. And then we decided that watching our favorite sitcom, Modern Family, was the only way out. Well, it helped temporarily. But after this week's ongoing difficult news, I'm finding myself increasingly troubled, despondent, and incredulous. Much as I want to prepare myself for one of America's favorite holidays, it feels hard to get in touch with my gratitude right now. Don't get me wrong, I've always enjoyed celebrating Thanksgiving because I believe gratitude is one of the most important things that we can practice in life. In fact, I love that Thanksgiving is a whole day devoted to gratitude. But these days, with the continuous evidence that the campaign of hate is turning into the administration fueled by hate, it's easy to feel despair. It's easy to feel fear about the kind of country this will become. And it's easy to sink into hopelessness as I watch the traditionalist white patriarchy become the rulers of this nation again. So I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I'm finding it a little challenging to feel gratitude in the midst of such uncertainty and stress. Anyone else here? So then I take a deep breath and remind myself, it's Thanksgiving week. I can be grateful right here, right now, in this moment. Grateful for this community, for my family and friends, and for my work. In fact, only yesterday I went running down into the kitchen to my husband to say, do you have any idea how amazing this congregation is? There's so many great people here, and they all just step up and dive right in to help with things. I'm so thrilled to be their minister. It's really a great honor. And when I look out of the window between composing sermon sentences, I realize how grateful I am for the sun and for the ocean and for the rain that I'm hoping will fall imminently, as well as the opportunity to live in this beautiful culture of California. And when I remember all this, I realize all is not lost. Focusing on what I'm grateful for in this moment, today, helps. To remember that the sun still rises and the stars come out at night in their great beauty, and that there was an incredible supermoon last week. Did any of you see it? Giving thanks for being here on this earth at this time helps. Thinking of all you incredible people and what you do to make a difference helps. And I'm grateful that Thanksgiving gives us a ritualized mandate to remember to practice gratitude. Renowned monk and spiritual teacher, Brother David Steindl-Rast, writes, gratefulness is the only appropriate response to that which is given. And this life is a given. If you train yourself to be grateful for everything, every moment, then when you come to something that you don't like, you realize it's still given and you have to deal with it. You will be alert to the gift within every gift, which is opportunity. So this Thanksgiving seems like an excellent time to find the gifts and opportunity among the struggle. One of the gifts I'm noticing is how we're all coming together in a way that I haven't seen since 9/11. We're coming together knowing we have a greater, urgent purpose. Another opportunity we have this Thanksgiving is to give heartfelt thanks for the abundance of our earth and our connections with one another. In fact, we've developed a few gratitude rituals in our family for Thanksgiving. First of all, we make a gratitude chain. My son cuts up pieces of colored paper, and we each write things on them that we're grateful for, as many as we can think of. And then we staple them together in circles to form a link chain. And this later gets used to decorate our Christmas tree, or we simply drape it across a wall of our living room between now and Christmas to remind us of the many things we can be grateful for. Another ritual we do together on a daily basis is offer gratitudes for one another and our lives before we go to bed each night. Finding the gifts scattered in among our days helps us, especially when the days have been difficult. It almost always makes us feel better. And on Thanksgiving, we do our circle of gratitudes before the meal. So I'm going to work extra hard this year to remember and give thanks for the many blessings that are so abundant in our lives if only we look. And without doubt, one of our greatest blessings is our beautiful earth, symbolized here by these beautiful loaves of bread. Our planet that sustains us with her gifts of food, water, air, minerals, wood, metal, and other resources. We need to remember that we are an interconnected ecosystem living on this one finite planet. And we need to give thanks and do all we can to honor and protect our beautiful earth. The World Climate Talks that just completed in Marrakesh this week announced that 2016 is very likely to surpass 2015 as the hottest year on record. And that is after the years 2011 to 2015 were denoted the 5 hottest years on record. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives due to devastating climate events such as hurricanes, typhoons, earthquakes, and floods over the last few years. Last year, I attended the Parliament of World Religions, a gathering of 10,000 people practicing and sharing their different religions peacefully together. And ironically, it took place in Salt Lake City, Utah. I heard speakers from all over the world issue similar warnings that if we don't care for our earth now, we're heading for disaster. Everything we do as humans impacts not only one another and our quality of life, but our ability to sustain life on this planet. We need to start looking at our earth as the source of life, not as a resource we can plunder indefinitely. Just like women who are pregnant with life need to be treated with kindness and care to ensure the healthy gestation and birth of their children, so the earth, pregnant with food and resources, needs to be treated with respect and care. As we advocate for the Sioux of Standing Rock, trying to preserve their water source and ensure untarnished water for millions of Americans, we are reminded how many of the environmental infractions, from fracking to oil pipelines, are irreversible. They can set in motion a chain of disastrous environmental consequences. In the words of Lakota Chief Arvol Looking Horse, when will we understand that Mother Earth is the source of life, not a resource? She's the source of life. if we continue raping and pillaging her through fracking, strip mining, monocrop farming, logging, GMOs, toxins, carbon pollution, and so on, we are destroying the very source of life. The earth, in her wondrous ability to regenerate and nourish us, is our source of life. But if we poison her, she will survive, but we will not. Humans will have created an inhospitable environment for life and will no longer be here. The fascinating 2009 documentary, Dirt, the Movie, reminds us that when you step on a person, they can scream or indicate their pain. But when you hurt the earth, she isn't able to show us her pain. Except we are seeing the devastating effects of our hurt in increasing natural disasters, not to mention our drought and fires here in California, increased earthquakes and famines around the world, as well as wars for natural resources. The eco-theologian Thomas Berry wrote, "In the 20th century, the glory of the human has become the desolation of the earth. And now the desolation of the earth is becoming the destiny of the human." Earth is our home. Feel your feet on the floor. This is our home. We don't destroy our own homes. What we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. Now, I don't mean to be the bringer of doom and gloom this Thanksgiving, but I do want to wake us up to the vital importance of creating a sustainable relationship with our earth. A relationship in which we honor her gifts, just as indigenous peoples and pagans around the world have done for millennia. We need to change our mindset from being extractors and polluters to caring for our earth, to treating her with reverence and gratitude for supplying us with all our needs. We need to return as much to the earth as we take from her by feeding the biodiversity and the soil through composting, removing asphalt, and restoring our waterways. I was heartened by a story I heard in the movie Dirt, in which they showcased a movement in Los Angeles, just up the street from us, to transform our many concrete, asphalt school playgrounds that looked like parking lots into living landscapes rich with food and biodiversity. At first, people were concerned that the school children might get dirty during recess. But they soon realized that many of these children have no access to green areas or edible landscapes. The benefits of them being able to play in the earth and cultivate seeds would dramatically change their connection to nature and one another. And that is indeed what is happening. The rebuilt schoolyards include spaces for physical activity, gardening, outdoor learning, and community gatherings. They have permeable surfaces and landscapes that absorb rainwater and reduce neighborhood flooding. The Asphalt to Ecosystems project improves the health and happiness of students and becomes a hub for community activity. In fact, there are now programs in LA, Chicago, San Francisco, and New York, among others, that are working to remove concrete and bring living landscapes to inner city schools. And this is so vital because we need to teach our children to revere and love the earth so that their choices and impact on the earth will be wiser than their parents and grandparents. So this Thanksgiving, I've been thinking about how we can better revere and give thanks for our earth. How can we deepen our connection to the earth so we're less likely to hurt her? Well, last week, as many of you know, 70 of us gathered after the service to look at what social justice issues we might wish to focus on as a community in the coming year. Well, the needs and urgency of many different issues have multiplied, as we all know. But one issue that is certainly at the forefront is protecting our planet from climate change, which is frighteningly being denied by the new head of the Environmental Protection Agency and other oil and profit-hungry business people. Our witness for the earth will become that much more urgent, my friends, if we are not to doom our planet to rapidly escalating climate disaster. So what are the concrete steps we can take? I know many of you already do a lot to preserve our earth. We are making a difference in the environment through our climate justice group right here at CVUUF. We're part of the Citizens Climate Lobby, which is 35,000 volunteers around the world focused on making real progress in the fight against climate change. They're campaigning for a law that will put a price on carbon, a law that is carefully designed to be acceptable to both progressives and conservatives, to the rich and to the poor. And if you want to find out more, the Citizens Climate Lobby actually meets this afternoon at 12:30. And see Dick Elsey, would you mind standing up for a moment there, Dick? Thank you. At 12:30 in the boardroom next door. Thank you for the important work you all are doing. And I imagine you're all mostly aware of the many individual things we can do to help the environment. Things like using less water, composting, recycling, removing lawns, and driving less, among others. Catherine Hayhoe, atmospheric scientist and founder of Atmos Research, and I believe you're seeing a video from her this afternoon, is that right? Yes. She suggests that a first important step is to log our carbon footprint. And we can do that by going to the Nature Conservancy's website or to carbonfootprint.com. But with the change in administration and the potential rolling back of last year's groundbreaking Paris Climate Accords, our advocacy on this issue is going to be of much greater urgency. We need to get really active in our community and beyond as environmental protectors. We need to defend and promote the progress that we have made as a country and as a world towards halting climate change, and we have made progress. But there's also a spiritual component to this that can strengthen our commitment. And as the situation in our nation intensifies, I want to remind us all of the importance of creating and growing practices in our lives that help us each individually calm and center. Because really there's no more important thing we can do. If we can come from a place of inner calm and groundedness, we will be so much more effective in our advocacy work. So as a spiritual practice to honor the earth, Bill Twist, the CEO of the Pachamama Alliance, suggests 4 daily habits. Number 1, recognize the earth is a living, breathing being, just like us, that deserves love, respect, and compassion. Number 2, express daily gratitude to the earth. After all, we receive all the necessities of life from her. Express gratitude through a blessing before a meal, or help clean our parks and beaches, plant trees, or walk more. The key is to find our own way to express our gratitude daily for our earth. Number 3, he encourages us to embrace our oneness with the earth. We are the earth, and the earth is us, he says. The destruction of the earth is our destruction. seeing our interconnectedness, as opposed to dominating the earth, is key. And this is the message we have to take to Washington urgently. Number 4, he invites us to say a morning prayer or blessing, acknowledging that we are connected to the earth and grateful for her gifts. When we wake up, may we open the curtains and honor the incredible beauty surrounding us and give thanks for another day on this beautiful blue boat home. I leave us with the wise words from Chief Seattle, after whom the city of Seattle was named. This we know. The earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected like the blood that unites us all. Man did not weave the web of life. He's merely a strand in it. And whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. My friends, I believe in us. I believe in us to make a difference and to have hope that we can make a difference. So as we prepare to celebrate Thanksgiving, may we remember that we are all strands in this interconnected web of life. May we be mindful that we do not just live on the earth, but that we are a part of the earth. And may all our actions work to sustain our beautiful blue boat home. May it be so. And as an example of the amazing bounty of this earth, we will now take some time to honor our earth and her abundant gifts through a ritual bread communion. The breaking of bread is an ancient ritual of community and memory celebrated in many different cultures and many different ways. Today, as we approach Thanksgiving, we break bread together to celebrate the abundance of our earth, the hard work of all who make our lives possible, and the community that gathers here to worship together. May this bread remind us of how we depend on the earth and on one another, from those who grew the food and harvested it, to those who baked it and brought it here. And I wish to say particular gratitude to Hilary Rosen for baking this beautiful, delicious bread that we share today for all of us. Thank you, Hilary. And for Dylan for helping her. The bread is broken in the sacred space of this worship service and shared in this community of love. As the bread is passed to you, I invite you to take a piece from the basket and eat it, and in doing so, honor our Mother Earth, our source of life. As you pass the basket to the person next to you, I invite you to turn to them and say, I offer you the bounty of the earth. I offer you the bounty of the earth. As you eat the bread, bring to mind what you are thankful for about this earth, as well as the people for whom you are thankful at this time of year. We also have a gluten-free option. Please raise your hand if you would like that, and one of the ushers will bring it to you. We now offer you the bounty, the beauteous bounty of the earth. May it be blessed, just as we are blessed by it.